Happy Tuesday. Welcome to my new set. What do you think? So today is Tuesday, and that means we are speaking English today. I was driving with my daughters to school this morning, and they are both learning Spanish in school. And my little one was saying, ahora mismo, más que nunca, necesitamos cuidar a los insectos del mundo. And I was like, wow, it's so cool when the kids start speaking the Spanish. But today, it's in English unless somebody has a question in Spanish. Quick reminder, my name is Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. My law firm is Lincoln-Goldfinch Law, my last name. We are an immigration firm, and we focus on immigrant families. Mixed status families, immigrant families, keeping families together, reuniting families, uniting families, letting people see each other they haven't seen in a long time, keeping families out of detention, keeping families from suffering the horrors of immigration. That's basically what we do. So we do family-based petitions, we do humanitarian petitions, we do removal defense, we do detained cases, and we are a team of 15 attorneys, all experts in their respective areas. So the attorneys will focus on their area, like habeas cases or removal cases. I am the spokesperson, the face of the firm, but there are a team of many talented lawyers behind me, with me, beside me, who are working with our clients, and that's what you get when you hire Lincoln-Goldfinch Law. We are still doing free consultations. This is our gift to the immigrant community, because the number one thing that I think immigrants should be doing to protect themselves is obtaining a consultation with an immigration lawyer about your rights, your eligibilities, what this would look like, and you need to know your rights in times like these. And so for that reason, we have not charged for our consultations since the election happened, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. So if you or someone you love needs some help or support or just some information, please just send us a DM anywhere. I'm here currently streaming on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, any of those platforms. You can just DM me, and my team behind the scenes will work toward getting you a free consultation. We're based in Austin, Texas, but we represent people in all 50 United States, and we are a virtual law firm. So there's really no barriers to consulting with us, and that's my number one piece of advice for immigrants who have not done that yet. Let's get to the news of the week. We have a lot of annoying and not great news. The sources on this one is the Washington Post obtained ICE's own records revealing the widespread use of force in detention centers. And when I say force, I mean tear gas, hand restraints, cuffs, solitary, physical restraints, like physical force bordering on, to me, what looks like torture. And we know this because they have something called a daily detainee assault report. That's what they call it. They call their own report an assault report. So obviously they know that they are assaulting people. And the increase in assaults or torture or force in immigrant detention has seen a 54% increase. Over 1,330 individuals so far in the Trump administration have had things like physical force or chemical weapons used against them. And the stories behind this stuff is when detainees are asking for things like food or water, that's when the force is used against them. When people ask to have basic life necessities is when the reports of these assaults or force are used against them. So we're glad to see that certain members of Congress are starting to visit these detention centers. There's a handful of reps going to the Dilley Detention Center today. I'll be meeting up with them at 3 o'clock because I have clients detained there to talk about what they saw in Dilley. So stay tuned for that. I'll be, of course, sharing all that on my social media. But bad situation. And, of course, the detention complex expands. ICE is currently buying up, massive warehouses with the goal of housing more and more tens of thousands of people in these detention centers where they are using force. against detainees who ask for stuff like water. How dare they? Next item, there was a few months ago, we talked about how people were being pulled from their naturalization ceremonies. This happened specifically in Faneuil Hall in Boston, but across the nation. People who were on some of these restricted lists, countries on the restricted list, like Haiti, Venezuela, the Ivory Coast, who had gone all the way through the citizenship process and passed their exam and everything, all of a sudden were pulled from the line the day of their citizenship ceremony. Well, they've sued. They've sued the government because there is a regulation or policy that citizenship must be adjudicated within 120 days of the approval, and that's not happening. So they have the law on their side, and we'll see what the judge does in that case. Next, we have another TPS cancellation for people from Yemen. Actually, this is not TPS. This is about refugees from Yemen. And it looks like the government has tried to pull... I'm going to do some more research on this one. This is from the Associated Press. Federal Judge Dale Ho from Manhattan extended the status for 3,000 Yemeni refugees temporarily while a lawsuit seeking to preserve the protections play out. So this is about refugee status. And this one, until today, escaped my awareness. So I'm going to look into that more. Maybe I'll do a video on that because pulling people's refugee status is a very big deal. To me, it's a much more significant news item than a TPS cancellation because TPS is a temporary status. It's meant to be reviewed and revoked at some point. Refugee status is not. Refugee status is lifelong. And so revoking people's refugee status is a big deal. Next news item, the shutdown has ended. The House has passed the funding for DHS. So 76 days after the government shutdown, the Senate and the House finally passed another $70 billion or so for government funding. Now, I did a video yesterday on MVM Inc., which to me sounds like one of these like evil empire cartoon conglomerates. But the Trump administration has contracted with a corporation called MVM Inc. They are a security company out of Ashburn, Virginia. And the purpose of this contract is to have MVM Inc. track down and apprehend immigrant children, unaccompanied immigrant children who entered into this country alone as minors. So one could say they are hunting children at the behest of the Trump administration. And this corporation has already been sued in the past for torturing children and separating them from their families. And that lawsuit was permitted to move forward. It was dismissed in part, but allowed to move forward in part. So more nefarious activities against children are happening, particularly with this corporation, MVM Inc. Another report that came out in the last week is about a group of people. The Supreme Court has allowed third country removals by the Trump administration. That means deporting people to countries that they're not from. So this whole plane full of people, primarily I think they're from Guatemala, were deported to the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they're like living essentially in a hotel, basically in hiding, because the DRC is in such upheaval politically and economically that it's not safe for them to be out on the streets. So they're like living and hiding in a hotel with their meals being provided for them in the DRC. For what? Why do we do this? What the hell is the point of that? And so that's what happens in these third country removals. People don't just like get taken to a country and released and like thrive. No, they're taken to places like the DRC where they have to live in hiding. Let's talk about deaths in detention. I know I'm such a ray of sunshine today. We have now reached 18 deaths so far this year. That represents one person every 6 days in 2026 dying in detention. The latest is a man named Denny Adan Gonzalez. He died in the Stewart Detention Center, which I believe is in Georgia. So I know it's somewhere around Georgia. Notorious. It's a notorious place. And all we know is that they found him unresponsive. So he represents the 18th or 19th death so far this year in detention. And in reading the articles about all of these deaths, the common thread is that these are people who were sick. They asked for medical care and it wasn't provided to them. Now with Denny, we don't know what happened, if he asked for medical care or not. We're waiting on more details. That was only just a couple of days ago that he was found unresponsive and was not able to be resuscitated. It's Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. You know, you may think if you live in the United States that Cinco de Mayo is a big holiday in Mexico, that it's Mexican Independence Day. It's not. The big holiday, Mexican Independence Day, is actually September 16th. That is a huge national holiday in Mexico. Cinco de Mayo is a regional holiday. It represents a battle in Puebla where Mexican soldiers overtook French soldiers in 1862. And it is celebrated in Puebla. But did you know that Cinco de Mayo was actually made to be a big holiday in the United States by liquor companies? It was actually Modelo, Corona, and Jose Cuervo that decided they wanted a big drinking holiday in the United States, and they decided that Cinco de Mayo was going to be a big holiday. And I don't know if you guys remember, do you remember Trump in his first, was it his first administration or his first campaign where he was like eating a taco bowl? So tacky. But just so you know, I mean, let's celebrate Cinco de Mayo for sure. I'm all for like intercultural celebrations. I think that those are good. And if you really want to, know something about what matters to the country of Mexico and what feels like, a big celebration to people from Mexico, it's September 16th, not the 5th of May. All right, that's your news for the week. Let us start talking about your comments. I see them coming in. Thank you, everybody. Chispa de Bamba. Always here, often here. I know someone from Cuba, formerly under humanitarian parole, now waiting for adjustment of status. Their EAD number under the parole was recently reactivated under E-Verify. Is that legitimate or an error? That sounds legitimate to me. Yeah, I mean, an adjustment of status pending with a valid EAD seems like that would go well in E-Verify. Nothing to me flags concern about that case. Bird Bite Art. I just love your handles. Thank you for free consultations. Are you able to provide materials or videos for people to reference? You betcha. We're big on materials for people to reference. So obviously I'm here. I do this show live on Tuesdays in English, and Thursdays I cover the same material in Spanish. And this is the show to watch if you want to stay up to speed and interpret the headlines and understand what's going on with immigration. I'm here with you in the mornings, but of course you can watch it later on all my socials. I'm also doing videos every day about something that's happening. So I'll do sometimes multiple videos a day about things that are happening in the news. And then in terms of resources, the best place to go is my resource website, which is different from my law firm website. My resource website is Abogada, which means attorney, Abogada Kate in Spanish, and Abogada Kate is attorney in Spanish. And on that page, both in English and Spanish, there's downloadable resources. So there's the safety planning packet, there's Know Your Rights cards, there's materials for businesses. I will be I'm working with some estate planning attorneys, and we're doing packets on how to protect your assets, like your home, your car, your bank accounts, things like that. So all those materials are available for free. I also am available with my team to come to people in Central Texas. We have El Bus Sin Fronteras, our community engagement project. We will come to you with printed materials and free legal consultations to bring this stuff to you. Part of the purpose of this mobile project is to go to where people already are gathering and where there might be a need for immigration resources, because we know that in times like these, when you host a Know Your Rights clinic, maybe 10 people show up. I was just at one hosted by, Workers Defense Project and Chito Vela from Austin City Council. Like, one would think, and he's a former immigration attorney, one would think that lots of people would show up to something like that, but there were only like 10 people there, not even. Because it's scary for people to come to like an immigration, resource event. So we have this bus, this mobile unit that goes to where people are already gathering. We could come to La Pulga, we could come to your school graduation event, we can come to your city festival, we could come to your Cinco de Mayo festival, and we can bring this stuff, and it's a free service that we are providing from my firm. And so if you know some organization, some entity, some school, some city that could use that support, just reach out. We're happy to help. Okay, Willie, this is a Spanish question. I'll read it in Spanish and then I will translate it in English. ¿Qué tan cierto es que están pausando casos ahorita? ¿Es bueno o no obtener servicios de abogados de todas maneras o no? Muchas gracias de atendernos. Hola, Willie. Sí, hay rumores de que ellos están haciendo otro paso de revisión sobre los backgrounds de solicitantes de cualquier cosa con inmigración, que puede ser permiso de trabajo, residencia, ciudadanía. Y sí, no es una pausa, pero es una demora. Y sobre la pregunta de abogados, si en esta época, en mi opinión, vale la pena tener un abogado presente en todos los trámites para que inmigración sabe que hay un abogado atrás de su espalda que está listo para batallar o luchar si sería necesario. Porque he visto casos de personas que fueron solos a sus citas y todo salió mal, y con nosotros podemos hacer un argumento en el momento de la entrevista. So Willie asked me, how sure is it that they're pausing immigration cases right now, and is it a good idea or not to have immigration attorneys at your appointments? So yes, there are some rumors, and I haven't fully investigated this. I'm intending to do this and do a video on it. I've only seen a couple of other content creators that I respect who are immigration lawyers talk about this pause, but I haven't seen the regulation on it, so I need to look into this, and I'll do a video on it, if not today, tomorrow. But what I've heard is that they're doing a secondary background check on all applicants, meaning like they're rerunning people through the FBI database. My guess is that the reason for this is that they're conglomerating so much data. I've talked a lot about this, like we're living in a surveillance era and people are gathering all this data on us, and they're going to the IRS, and they're going to Western Union, and they're doing facial recognition technology, and they're going to DPS, and they're gathering voter rolls. And they're using a company probably like Palantir that like pulls all this together. And now that they have this built out robust surveillance technology, they're rerunning applicants through the new database. And so we'll probably see more of a delay. It's not a pause. They don't have a legal way to pause cases, but they're adding this additional layer of review, which could delay cases. So what that means is, if you've got a renewal, like a DACA renewal, you need to plan ahead and apply for the renewal as early as you can, because things might start taking longer. And then to your second question, Willie, about like, is it a good idea to have a lawyer? I know it seems self-serving when I say this, so I always hesitate to like say, yes, of course you need a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, and so you might think like, well, of course you're going to say that. Here's the deal. Hopefully by now you know me. I'll tell you guys the truth. There's lots of people who come to me and I'm like, I can't help you. I can't take your case. Like, I'm not here to try and, make a bunch of money off of immigrants. That's not my purpose in life. That's not why I'm here. So hopefully you can trust me and believe me when I say now is not the time to go it alone. And the reason for that is minor mistakes, minor omissions, failure to attach important documents, sending your package to the wrong address. These are things that previously would have delayed your case by a month or 3. Now they can result in notice of intent to deny, an actual rejection, a denial of your case. Like, these are not the moments to mess around with the paperwork on your immigration case. Also, like when we take a case, people will often ask me, like, will you just review my paperwork? And we don't provide that service. And the reason for that is I only offer full representation to my clients. That means we prepare it, we sign our name on the paperwork, we conduct the cover letter and the index, we go to your interview. And that is because I want immigration to see that we are behind this case. We have put it together. Lincoln-Goldfinch Law will be there to battle if they commit some injustice against our clients. We're going to be there in the interview, and if they say some BS in that interview, we're going to be like, excuse me, no, that is unacceptable. We will fight right there in the interview. I recently had a colleague, this is someone that I know, who this is someone who knows very well how to do immigration cases, somebody who knows the paperwork in and out, and did the paperwork totally correct on their own. Went to the interview and got screwed around by the officer, who made a bunch of nonsensical accusations that had no basis in the law, dismissed these people from the interview, and then issued a notice of intent to deny their case. That's not like a request for evidence or a delay. A notice of intent to deny means our intention is to deny you unless you can, say something to stop us. It's not good. And in my opinion, that primarily happened to this person, not because there was a mistake in their case, but because immigration didn't know that they had me and my team backing them. So they're like, oh, we can screw around with this person. What are they going to do? They don't even have a lawyer. That's why you need a lawyer now, because they are messing with people. And they need to know you've got the power of a good lawyer behind you, so they don't mess with you. And then we're there. We help calm your nerves. We help prepare you for the interview. And yeah, we do the paperwork right too. That's an added benefit. But a lot of people, I think, over the years think like, oh, I know how to do the paperwork. I know how to research online. And previously, in really simple cases, I would say, like, go for it. Like, do your I-90, do your green card renewal, even sometimes do your citizenship, simple case, go forth. But anything not citizenship now, not now. They're trying to deny as many people as they can, and they need to know you've got a lawyer who's going to fight for you if they screw with you. Okay. Michelle on Instagram, what is prima facie and the likelihood of a VAWA case approval after receiving a prima facie? Prima facie is good news. So when you apply for VAWA, you receive a notice that says you're prima facie eligible, or what that means is you have submitted evidence that touches on all of the requirements of VAWA, that shows like, oh, you're in a valid marriage, that you've been subjected to cruelty in that marriage, that it was a good faith marriage, that you are a person of good moral character. Like, these are the elements of a VAWA case, and prima facie means you have submitted a packet that touches on all the required elements and that nothing on its face is missing. It doesn't mean they've reviewed the evidence. It doesn't mean they're going to prove it, but it means you've complied with the evidentiary requirements, which is obviously a good sign. With prima facie, in some cases you can get some benefits, not a ton, but it's a good thing, and it will also, in my opinion, protect you. It doesn't give you legal status, but it does protect you against certain abuses, detention, deportation, etc., because we could go before a judge or an ICE officer and say, like, this person's already applied for VAWA, they're already prima facie eligible. So I would say it doesn't indicate that the case will likely be approved, but it's a good sign that you've done essentially the bare minimum. Okay, Chispa de Bomba, this is a follow-up about the Cuban adjustment. The EAD is under humanitarian parole number, not the adjustment of status. Would the EAD number stay the same even if it's changing from the C9 category to the C11 category? Yes, you'd get a different card, but your A number would be the same. And I'm not an E-Verify expert, but I could definitely see how like E-Verify would not distinguish between the two cards, but it would just say like this person with this A number has a valid work permit. And when you switch and you had the parole EAD and now you've got the adjustment EAD, for purposes of E-Verify, it doesn't matter. Like, you, in both circumstances, have valid work permission. And that's what E-Verify is checking. They're not checking which category you are. They're just checking, is this valid? Does this person have the right to work? The only thing that would maybe be potentially problematic is like the expiration date, because the parole EAD might expire before the adjustment EAD does. So you might have to do a new like E-Verify at that point. But hopefully by then you have the green card. That would be even better, wouldn't it? Okay, good questions and comments, guys. Keep them coming. I'm toying around with the timeline a little bit of the show. We usually try and do it at 8:30. I'm starting a little bit later in my new set. Do you like it? And so, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, it's always like, you never know. Sometimes people are on early morning. Some people, it's, middle of the day. Probably nighttime is the best for everybody except for me, so I'm not doing that. Because I turn into a pumpkin when the sun goes down. Getting output from me after the sun is down is a no-go. I couldn't even study at night in law school. It was wild. I don't think I ever studied after 11 p.m. Even when I was studying for the bar. I just can't do it. Brain off. I'm an early bird. But, can't do early bird with y'all because I got kids and all that. Okay, what is VAWA and who qualifies for it? VAWA stands for the Violence Against Women Act, although it protects both men and women. And it is a big law that does a lot of things to protect victims of violence, but for purposes of immigration, what VAWA does is it allows people who are in a relationship with a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident where that person could petition for them and get them status. It allows the victim of violence in that relationship to apply for their own status without the support of their abuser. Because so often, in almost 100% of the cases that I've seen, when there's an abusive situation between, let's just say the common scenario is the U.S. citizen husband and the immigrant wife, almost always this disparity in status where he's a citizen and she's undocumented is used as part of the power and the control that he has over her, where he threatens her with deportation, he tells her she can't work, she can't get a driver's license, she can't build a community or autonomy because she's undocumented, and he's not petitioning for her because he likes this power that he has over her, right? So VAWA was created to give these victims of cruelty or abuse to apply for the green card on their own. And one of the things I love about VAWA is that it doesn't require you to be separated, divorced. You can be living in the home with your abuser, working it out, being careful about how you exit, and still apply for VAWA. You can apply for your own green card and your spouse never has to know. They never have to know. We have actually a lot of VAWA clients who are still living in the marriage with their partner and the partner is unaware of what's happening. And the whole point is to get your legal status and get yourself protected. So to anybody who is in this situation, if you are an immigrant and you find yourself in a situation with a spouse or a parent or child where that person is holding it over your head that you are undocumented, please reach out to me because we can do a confidential consultation and we can look into whether we can protect you and get you legal status, and that person never has to know. And you can just get your green card and then make your decision. Because I know it's really hard to extricate yourselves from those situations and not safe in many instances. And it's a whole heck of a lot easier when you have legal status and you can go out and get a job and apply for an apartment and do all the things you need to do to set up a whole new life for yourself. Ana Contreras says, I love your new set. Thank you. My kids and I did this painting behind me. It says, what's the best that could happen? We had fun, our little art day doing that. Ana, updates on DACA? Todavía no. No updates for DACA. We are continuing the DACA limbo. It's in Judge Hanan's hands. He's not ruling on anything, which, in my opinion, no news is good news. Now, it's not good for the DACA initial folks because I know you can't get a decision on your case until he makes a decision, but it's not looking good for DACA in Texas, so I'm personally enjoying the delay. But I promise you, the minute that it comes out, I will drop everything I'm doing and post about it and tell you everything I know. Michelle, are a lot of VAWA cases being approved? Yes. Or are you seeing the same in approvals and denials? Same. No impact. No impact in my experience on VAWA approvals. And, VAWA is one of those things that Congress passed a long time ago, and Trump can't just revoke it. Now, it is specifically in Project 2025 to revoke VAWA. They hate it. Stephen Miller hates it. They think that the system is abused. And there are some abuses in the system. Some people take advantage of it. But that doesn't mean the system needs to go away, right? We don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I wonder if there's a different phrase we could start using than that. But anyway, VAWA is alive and well in my practice and my experience. Oh, this is fun. Here's your action item. Remember, we're always doing something to, mix it up, keep it interesting in our civic engagement. Why don't you learn the history of Cinco de Mayo? Today is the 5th of May. Learn the real history of Cinco de Mayo. Remember, it's a regional battle won by Mexican army over French soldiers in Puebla. It's celebrated as a regional holiday in Puebla, Mexico. It is not a national holiday. Mexican Independence Day is September 16th. And the reason we have Cinco de Mayo in the United States is because of our friend Jose Cuervo. Very interesting stuff. So learn about that. Post about that. I'll do a little video today and you can share it with your friends. Well, thank you for joining me in my new set. And nos vemos el jueves en español. And love you guys. Keep up the good work out there. Talk soon.